listening to the AFTERBUZZ TV network. Now, the largest new media platform on the web and your number one source for after-show entertainment.
Very good, Dean Johnson.
From the AFTERBUZZ Studios in Los Angeles, California, presented by Maria Menounos and streaming live thanks to Akamai Technologies, this is AFTERBUZZ TV's WWE NXT After Show. We'll break down tonight's episode and get you all the latest news and gossip. And now, another post-game wrap-up show for your favorite TV show. It's AFTERBUZZ TV's WWE NXT After Show.
There you go.
This is his music?
Sure, why not?
Hello, everyone, and welcome to AFTERBUZZ TV's NXT After Show. It is the last NXT After Show of January 2014. This is the recap for January 29th's episode. I'm your host, Cathy Kelley, and joining me tonight is True Hobo across from me.
The greatest hobo that has ever lived. Touch your computers now and feel the warmth of my sincerity.
Oh my gosh. Do you know what computers are?
Yes, I know what computers are. I use them at the library.
Okay. So, overall thoughts of tonight's episode, which, did you watch it on a computer, or?
No, I watched it on a computer.
Okay.
Yeah. Hulu's free. So I dig that. That's why I'm here today.
Yeah.
These things are free. I love free stuff.
Free is good. Soon we will be having to pay $9.99 a month.
Yeah, I'm going to have to talk to somebody about
That's pretty cheap,
working
though.
that out. I mean,
Not too bad.
All right, it's not bad, granted, but for some people that's a lot. Some people like me, and I'm gonna have to find somebody who can like host it or something.
Yeah.
Because I don't know how that's gonna work. I mean, can you access it from any computer? I mean, will you be able to log in, or is it from your IP address? I don't know, man.
I don't know. You're going to have to do some extra hours of panhandling for sure, though.
Dang it.
So, overall thoughts of tonight's episode?
Tonight's episode really strong, I felt.
Yeah?
I don't know why. I must have been in a good mood, or, I mean, it depends on what you thought. I think it was good. I think it was real solid. What do you think?
I thought it was solid, but middle of the road.
Really?
I thought that they had a very, very strong December, and coming back, there have been some spots that aren't that great. Like tonight's main event was kind of meh.
Well, it was a contract signing. I mean, you tend to have those things when you're trying to build a storyline with a larger caliber belt.
I just felt like it fell flat, and contract signings are never.
I don't think so. This wasn't just a contract signing. We'll get to that, but it wasn't just a contract signing. I think it was much more than that. I mean,
it was
large
still
scale.
Not good for me.
This was better than most.
We'll talk about it at the end of the episode.
We're sort of alluding to what may have happened. You'll have to wait until the end to find out.
So first up of the night, we have the Ascension versus Mike Culari and John Icarino.
Yeah.
I hope I pronounced those correctly.
No intro. No music. It was Ascension 100%.
You knew it was going to happen.
It was a squash.
And it was building up the Ascension again, saying they're 119 days as champions, and they have put out this open challenge to any tag teams to face them.
Right.
And this, I guess, was tonight's challenger.
Although, haven't we seen them before? I feel like Culari I've seen before because that name is very familiar to me.
They both sounded familiar. Culari for sure.
Yeah.
Anything special about this match for you?
The crowd getting behind the Ascension even more than usual.
I noticed that as well. It was very brief, though, it seemed like. It was at the top of the match. It didn't seem like it went all the way through.
It did. It went all the way through. It has to do with the match that the Ascension had with Hunico and Camacho, that last match, where the audience picked up on how Connor always makes the same noise when he goes for a hit. It's like, yeah. So now every time he does anything, the crowd goes, yeah. So now they have something to chant. And a crowd with something to chant will chant it loudly and frequently, and they did it all the way through this match. And you see Victor at one point, even just with his opponent on the ground, he had a wrist lock, and he was jeering the crowd on. I think they're even more over with this new chant.
I think that I don't know. I've been very bored with them recently, as with the entire tag team division down at NXT,
What
just because there isn't a tag. Yeah, I mean, there really isn't anything going on right now. I guess having the fans chant louder made it a little bit more interesting, but not much.
It's interesting to see how you can sort of turn a negative into a positive like that. Like being redundant, always making the same noise over and over again gets old. They tell you not to do it when you're in school. But when you do it in this way and people like it and can repeat it and can turn it into some sort of catchphrase, that's even better for you. That's just how a lucky strike works.
Yeah. Victor's stare was creepy.
He's got shark eyes, man. It's freaking me out. They're all black.
He started sticking his tongue out like a snake a couple times, which I thought was mega creepy as well. But I like that they're also sticking more to their character. It seems like they're a little bit more invested now.
I mean, they're not going anywhere. Obviously, they've got the belts.
The Ascension's been there for years.
Absolutely.
With, a different lineup, but
you sort of have to keep yourself interested in your own work at times. So if you change little things, make little tweaks, you can make it interesting for yourself and you can make it interesting for the audience. Because like you said, it's sort of been monotonous. Same thing over and over again, squash match, maybe the occasional long match, but they've not really had anybody to play with. So if they start playing with themselves, they can have a little fun. I can say that, yeah.
Okay.
That makes sense.
Okay. I wasn't laughing at that, but what you said.
What, playing with yourself and having fun?
Yeah.
Everybody can relate to that, can't they? What?
Anyways, I don't know. I feel like the Ascension for a while, I was really excited and thought that they would go up to the main roster, and now it's been a little bit one note as of late. This week, it was a little bit better, but it's still not where I want to see it.
Once they have somebody to compete against, once they have somebody to give the belts to, they can start to move on.
But I think it's also, I don't know anything about them, so I'm not invested in that regard.
You can say that about a lot of the guys back there to a point. I mean, their depth isn't all the way through. I mean, you've got C.J. Parker, you've got Aiden English. You don't really know much about them so much as
but
what you see.
But you want to learn more about them.
Right, but they're not, I mean, what if they were not to allow you any more access to them, so to speak? I mean, I think you're expecting a certain amount with the Ascension being there as long as they have, which is fair enough. And maybe that's one of the adjustments that WWE is going to have to make. But it can only come through, really, when they're working in a good program with somebody. You can only really begin to expand yourself when you're working with somebody else who's a quality partner.
Unico and Camacho.
We're not quality.
I know.
We saw Camacho tonight, and
Unico's been...
Well, Unico's now kind of in flux.
Sin Cara.
Well, maybe not.
Yeah.
Because I heard a rumor that Mystico, who was the original Sin Cara, said in an interview that he owns the rights to Sin Cara.
Really?
That's what I heard. Don't shoot the messenger.
That's
I'm not
weird.
trying to spread dishonesty, but that is what I heard, which would be a very interesting thing.
Yeah.
We haven't seen Sin Cara in a little while now, so that sort of holds up.
Before we get into the next thing, I know we mentioned before we started taping, one of the big things for NXT this past week was Rusev debuting at the Royal Rumble.
Alexander Rusev finally made it.
Yeah, so what are your thoughts on that?
My gosh, it was a surprise to see, a very welcome surprise. Some of those in the audience seemed to know who he was, seemed to follow NXT, so he got a bit of a reaction, not much, but that's fine when you're debuting on the main roster. You're not going to get sort of the raucous reaction that somebody else might get, but he came in, he looked strong. He wasn't wearing his typical garb,
Yeah.
which was frustrating. He was wearing some sort of black and red trunks that said his name. Kind of boring. But otherwise, he did a good job. He worked a fun spot with Kofi Kingston.
Yeah.
Kofi got knocked out. He caught Kofi, gave him the knees on the barricade, and then just sort of left him on the barricade like, screw you, buddy. Try and get back to the ring now. Kofi hops, makes the big jump. People remember that, but they don't remember that. Probably don't remember that Rusev got him there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That, as you said, that was really exciting to see. And it sounds like we're going to be seeing more of him.
Well, he's, I can tell you for certain, he worked dark match at the SmackDown tapings in Toledo, Ohio, because I had a friend there who was spoon feeding me information. Follow the real Joe Galley. He is fantastic. And Lana was with him. Lana introduced him, wore the same suit, and it sounds to me like he was wearing what he had been wearing, the brown kind of flowy, I don't know what you would call it. It's not quite a loincloth, and it's not quite anything else.
It's kind of a loincloth.
All right, well, he's wearing that.
A loincloth.
So we actually might get what we want in sort of an old school type character here.
That's good.
Yeah, it's very good.
So next up in tonight's NXT, we're back in the office with Sylvester Lefort, and he is auditioning new talent. Cal Bishop is the first one up, and Lefort has a problem with his ears.
Well, I mean, have you seen him? Have you ever seen cauliflower ear up close?
No.
It's freaking ugly.
Oh, really?
Oh, it's horrible.
I don't know what it was.
It's like, okay, you know how your ear kind of folds out? And it kind of makes like a scoop like that? Well, fill it with fluid.
The whole thing?
Yeah, I mean, except for the hole. It creates.
It looks like cauliflower.
It creates
Literally.
a cauliflower effect.
The visible part of your ear?
Yeah. Did you not see his ear?
No, it was. I had a pixelated thing because my internet wasn't that great here at the studio.
Well, yes. Apparently, his thing is he's a shoot wrestler by the name of Cal Bishop, and he's got ugly ears to prove it. Good for him. But not for Sylvester Lefort. This was a big dude, though. I think he might have some place to go.
We'll see.
Yeah.
So, yeah, Lefort won't rep him and moves on to the next guy, which we'll see later in the night. Corey Graves versus Camacho is the next match. And they said that Graves had a concussion from his match against Neville 2 months ago. And now Graves has a message to tell Neville, NXT, and WWE. He says, stay tuned.
It's not much of a message.
I thought he was going to say stay down or something. I don't know. It just seemed very...
I don't know.
Yeah.
They might have just said, go out there and say something before your match. Okay.
Yeah.
I don't know. Corey Graves is what he is, and he blames Neville for this whole thing. He sort of came off kind of indignant about it. Like he was angry at Neville, and other people should be angry with him too. Like he was the good guy and all that. But I guess from his point of view, yeah, he certainly was the good guy, and from his point of view, did not deserve to get a concussion and a grudge match.
Yeah.
But hey, that's just how the cookie crumbles sometimes. Let's see how far he can go with a little bit more momentum.
Yeah. Graves ends up winning with the lucky number 13.
Yeah.
What do you think of Camacho in this match?
I don't know. He was there. I don't know. I feel like he's stuck in a hole. You know, he's having to be something he's not, and honestly, it doesn't quite work for him. He was present. He was strong. You know, he had decent fire, and I think it was Alex Riley said something about him that was complimentary. He says he's all show and all go. And I thought that was a good thing to say. Let's see if we can manage to incorporate that into something else.
Because of the bike? The bike is all show and
the bike is all show and Camacho's all go. I like that. All show and all go. But, I mean, Camacho had the power, Graves had the speed, and the smarts, because in the end, Graves grabbed that leg of Camacho and hyper-extended the knee on the ropes. Ooh, boy, I felt that through the screen.
Yeah.
And he locked in the 13, and that was it.
Yep.
Yep.
Backstage, Devin and Cesaro. what name did he call her? He like said something to her before, and she's like, "No, it's Devin."
I don't even know. I don't even know what her name is.
It was very mute. Devin Taylor is her name.
Okay.
Yeah.
Watch me forget. What's her name?
Yeah, exactly. So Cesaro says he doesn't want a rematch with Zayn, and Sammy is delusional because he can't win, especially in the state that he's in.
Honestly, I'm with Cesaro on this one. He couldn't beat Cesaro at 100%. How can he beat him when he's on crutches? Honestly, that's a valid argument.
Yeah.
Anybody in their right mind could say that. He couldn't beat me before, and now he's injured. Why are we even talking about this?
I'm glad that, so 2 weeks ago, we really didn't have any segments other than, or any backstage segments or anything else. This week, I felt like the Cesaro segment and the Zayn segment really didn't move the needle. It was just reiterating what was said last week.
I agree with you there.
I wish that they would have, if they did have this time, given it to other talent to do something with.
Well, they're trying to build it, and I think this was the best way they could think of actually building it without...
But then move it forward and say something else that we haven't heard before.
Well,
because...
I mean, they sort of said that they're going to meet each other in the ring next week.
Well,
I think that's what Zayn said.
That's what Zayn said at the end of the episode. But.
Right. But, I mean... Cesaro had some valid points in this. And as far as the backstage segments are concerned, I like the LaForte segments. I haven't seen a segment, kind of like a recurring segment, backstage at NXT ever that I can think of.
Yeah.
So it's nice to have that kind of building its own story backstage and kind of recalling to it during the night. I like it.
It makes the entire episode cohesive.
Right. And it tells a story that doesn't have to take place in the ring, and you get something to look forward to. It sort of uses all your paintbrushes, so to speak, to paint the picture.
Speaking of that segment, we're back in the office with LaForte and Sawyer. I didn't catch his last name.
He mumbled. He's a mumbler. I hate mumblers.
Sawyer
Speak clearly, man.
LaForte says, "Big boy, finally something interesting." And Sawyer has no idea about the audition, so LaForte asks him to leave.
Well, LaForte had to ask him for his hand back.
Yeah, that was really awkward.
It was very odd. Is he coming on to him? Is he trying to collect on a debt? What is he doing?
I really couldn't tell. There was a very little reminiscent bit of Gold Dust, I felt like. Just the like...
Sort of,
but not really.
only sort of sexually ambiguous.
Yeah.
I guess is how you could say he's like Gold Dust.
That's what I meant.
Yeah. I don't know. This guy had interesting gear, though. It sort of looked like a tuxedo T-shirt that he had cut to make into a singlet.
Tuxedo T-shirt, singlet, slash, what's that from the Flintstones, the little, like, Bam Bam or something?
Oh, Bam Bam, the one strap?
The one strap. That's what it was.
Oh, yeah, it was a one strap, wasn't it, too?
And then his bleached buzz cut.
And then the pants, I don't know.
He was interesting. LaForte was right on that.
Well, yeah, it was certainly interesting. Interesting and, like, what is that? Yep.
But he was intrigued, nonetheless.
I think we all sort of are. And come back. Tell us what is going on.
Yeah. We have one more segment in that bit, but before that, the Divas match, Bayley versus Sasha. Of course, Natty and the BFFs accompany both of them to the ring. We haven't seen Charlotte in some time, which we kind of talked about last week, what she might be doing.
And people agreed with me.
Renee, however, said that Charlotte was on vacation, and that's why she was gone.
Sure. That's one excuse.
Where do you think she was on vacation? Hobo?
I don't know. It depends on the before and after photos.
Yes, so there's definitely something different about her.
Two things.
Two things different about her. The match starts, and Charlotte, mid-match, is on the apron, distracts Bayley. Natty then goes to take her down. Looked like Sasha was gonna capitalize, and Bayley ends up getting the win with the hugplex, though.
Yeah. This was an okay match. Now, from the get-go, Bayley's hot getting after Charlotte. Charlotte's on the outside. Bayley runs right after her. Now, part of me says this was only supposed to happen once, but it ended up going twice.
Yeah.
Because Sasha had trouble taking off her necklace. So I think once Bayley ran to the ropes, the ref ushered her back, and then Sasha finally gets her necklace off, puts it to the side, and says, "Let's go again." Bayley runs at her, sidestep, and then we can get into it. As soon as Bayley's back is turned that second time, Sasha capitalizes. And Sasha's offensive in this matches. I'd say it's not strong. It's like Mean Girl.
Both of them seemed very aggressive tonight and angry.
And it's Sasha's. Sasha does the back back chops and then back rake and then just small stomps like right to the face, like she's trying to disfigure her. Just that's her. She's like a girl in a club. She's just fighting with everything. She's got like a wild animal, you know, claws out and just kind of meh.
Girls fighting clubs.
I don't know.
When?
That's what I heard. That's what I see every once in a while on Hollywood Boulevard.
Oh, weird.
Ew.
Never seen that. Yeah, I don't know. I feel like it matches Sasha's character, but it didn't really match Bayley's. It seemed very...
Well, Bayley, I think, she was strong. She didn't quite have the same thing. She was working Charlotte, but in a different way. Bayley always looks strong.
Yeah.
You know, she always looks like she's in control. And it felt like this tonight, and Sasha did her usual trash talking during the match, which is something very unique that she does, and it's very obvious. And I think it helps build a stronger character in her. And let's see, Charlotte jumping up on the apron there mid-match, or well, I was closer to the end, let's say.
Yeah.
Charlotte, I don't think knew what was going on, because if you see her, she turns to Natty Neidhart on the ring apron. I remember last week. I can now say it right because I was practicing. Neidhart, and pulls the leg. She actually lands on the ring apron on her ribs.
I saw it. Looks kind of awkward. Yeah.
Ooh, man, that is a soft spot. Don't. I guess you could really argue she had no idea what was coming. She could have thought it was Summer Rae and said, "Hey, what's up?" Ah, and then just cracked her ribs on the side there.
Yeah.
But and then you have the belly to Bayley hugplex, which finishes the match. Honestly, I think it's my favorite finisher right now.
Yeah.
Because it's so perfect for just her.
Exactly.
It's weird to say that it's her finisher, because it has to be her finisher. Mm-hmm. But as Sasha and Summer and Charlotte are walking back up the ramp, Charlotte has a smile on her face, like she doesn't realize that they just lost.
I know.
You guys lost.
It was
Sulk,
very
damn
weird.
it, sulk.
Exactly.
Oh well. She may get the hang of it. I think she's a little green right now, but hopefully we'll start to mature and understand everything that's going on.
Mm-hmm. Next up, we have Colin Cassidy versus Tyler Breeze. I thought Cassidy taking selfies during this match was hilarious.
The crowd was going bonkers.
Crazy. He has so much personality.
Really does. For a guy who is 6'10", he has actually got charisma.
He was hilarious, and he just seemed very confident this week as well.
I think his confidence is growing.
Yes.
The more you see him, the more his confidence is growing.
Definitely.
It's fantastic seeing a guy you can actually watch him elevate.
Did you notice that I think he was pretending to take selfies and he was just taking pictures out because the flash was going the wrong way?
I don't know. It depends on the phone, I guess. I don't know much about phones.
I was assuming it looked like an iPhone. I was just assuming that he took it from the crowd because some guy gave it to him, and then he either didn't have time to switch it, or he was like, I don't want this guy to have random pictures of me on his phone.
Would be, no, incorrect. That would be the best thing to give a fan, because the fan would post it and then it would get shared. It's viral marketing.
It was probably that he couldn't figure out how to flip it or whatever it was. But,
maybe he doesn't have an iPhone, so he doesn't know how the heck it works. But honestly, the match was great from the start. It was getting a "This is awesome" chant just from Cassidy taking selfies.
Yeah.
And Tyler looked like a heel straight from the get-go. Wouldn't get in the ring with him. So people were mad.
There was
People wanna
definitely
see
a
'em.
slow start to the match, but then after the whole selfie thing, it looked like Cass had the upper hand. Then English interrupts on the large screen.
Yep.
And he says, everyone is a genius until the artiste walks in the room. He walks into a room, and it looks like he's going to beat up Enzo Amore, who is sitting there all by his lonesome.
In his chair.
In his chair. This, of course, distracts Big
Like
Cass.
Cary Grant in Rear Window. That was a callback. You're welcome.
Too early for me.
Yes.
Yeah.
Really? Come on!
Yeah.
Hitchcock!
Sorry.
Oh, Jesus, God! You need to watch that. That has got to be one of Hitchcock's best movies. Am I right? Come on, somebody back me up.
So,
Thank you.
Colin Cassidy is distracted by the beauty shot, and Breeze gets the win.
Yes. Although,
Or distracted by English. And
English.
Then, yeah, Breeze gets the win.
I
with the
thought
beauty
that
shot.
this, like you said, it had a slow start, but I wouldn't say it was slow. I would say it's controlled because it was meant to accomplish something. A slow start in a match is when the crowd doesn't really get behind it.
The crowd was behind it the entire time.
The entire time. And it was meant to make Cassidy look like a bigger good guy, and Breeze actually got some boos.
Yeah.
Because up till now, Breeze has been getting nothing but cheers. Nothing but cheers 100% of the time. So now, Breeze is finally a heel. Cass is finally a really good guy, or has been and now continues to be. And you got to see this offense from Cassidy. That was brutal on Breeze. You kind of felt for him a little bit.
A little
The
bit.
shots to the face. Dude, you don't go for the face, man.
Yeah.
Oh, he got the big punches, the big boot. I mean, you could almost see the waffle on Breeze's face from that boot. It was good. And then Breeze manages to put him away. And that was a kick. You know how hard it is to kick a 6'10" guy in the face? I don't
get some
know.
air.
He seemed to come out of nowhere. He's got spring like a cat. I was really impressed.
Yeah.
It was amazing.
So Breeze very content with his win, but of course distraught because of
The damage done.
the damage done to his face. After the match, Cass finds Enzo, and English is nowhere to be found.
He
Apparently,
escapes.
he has escaped, and he just threatened Enzo. He didn't really do anything.
That's too bad because the dramatic door closing as the camera, that was great. I was like, oh, he's going to mess him up.
I thought he was going to mess him up even more, attack the guy in the wheelchair. And then Cass, of course, says, there's no time for games, and we ain't talking about chess. They do the SAWFT soft, but it's a bit more, I don't know, I don't want to say mellow. It's more aggressive, but quieter.
No, it's controlled.
Controlled?
You know, it's not blind rage. It's very focused rage.
Cass
'Cause
has
he knows
that
what he's
rage
want.
in his eyes.
He's not just going to go and stomp any old thing. He wants English. He's going to go after English. And was it just me, or did you not understand, like, anything the two of them were saying? Enzo
got
and
it.
Cassidy.
I liked how fast it was going.
It's almost like Cockney British. I can't even understand it.
Oh.
Like, all the weird things, their slang is like, what are you guys talking about?
Yeah. I think their dialogue always is something that you kind of have to listen to a couple times, sometimes because of their accent, but it's also done really well. Like, there are some very good puns in there.
I agree with
it's
you
very
on
witty.
that. It sort of comes off like two very old friends who know exactly what each other's saying while the
Yeah.
rest of the world has no idea.
Yeah.
Yeah, like twins who have their own language kind of thing.
So, the next segment or match, we have The Miz versus CJ Parker, which, of course, was set up last week.
Right?
Chops back and forth at the beginning of the match, and then a great drop kick by Miz. Did you notice that?
It was a good drop kick.
They mentioned on commentary as well that we've seen some moves, or we saw some moves from Miz in this match that we don't normally see when he's on the main roster.
Yeah, I don't know why he decided to go sort of outside of his box, so to speak, but it was It was
refreshing.
appreciated. It was appreciated on all fronts.
I was going to say maybe he thought, I'm down at NXT. Maybe it's time to try something new. Like, this is the developmental place, so why not give it a shot?
Why not develop myself a little bit? Yeah, that's not a bad idea.
But yeah, it was very refreshing. And Miz ends up getting the win with the figure 4 in this match.
Yeah.
What'd you think?
Well, for starters, it was interesting having Alex Riley on commentary. Do you know the history between Miz and Alex Riley? Okay, well, a little history lesson, Cathy Kelley. Alex Riley used to be essentially the manager for The Miz. Essentially, kind of like a bag boy. Less than a manager because they were not on equal terms. Alex Riley was The Miz's whipping boy for the longest time. And Riley's real claim to fame is sort of they kept going at that for a long time, and then Riley would get mistreated and, like, literally whipped.
Okay.
And then finally, one day, Riley breaks free and starts just whacking the crap out of The Miz, just beating the pants off of him. And this was relatively short-lived, but it was well received by the audience, and everybody remembers. And then The Miz walks out, and the first thing that Alex Riley says is, "Oh, look, it's my friend The Miz." What? Well, it's a good thing they buried the hatchet, so to speak. I thought these two were still, like, mortal enemies.
I mean, I feel like they've done pre-show commentary before for
Together?
For what kind of, like, the pay-per-view sometimes. Maybe I'm wrong.
I don't know. I've not seen that, but I suppose it could be possible.
Yeah.
Maybe I missed the memo on them, like, finally making up after all these years.
I mean, if it's been a couple years and you're traveling together, you would assume that people would bury the hatchet.
Well, I'm talking kayfabe here. I'm talking about in the ring, not on the road.
I am too.
Okay.
But you have to realize that the storyline, even if it's not filmed, might go on.
Is that what I'm missing? Mm-hmm. Life goes on.
Yep.
Even for the fictional characters, life continues to go on.
Exactly.
That's fan fiction right there. That's what that is.
So, anything else from this match?
CJ Parker is finally a heel.
Yes.
He finally is. And honestly, I've never liked Miz more than I liked him in this match.
Really?
I generally find him fairly dislikable. But for some reason, the mixture of his charisma versus Parker's whatever, and then the new moves that the Miz was using, it worked perfectly. I don't know how. I can't explain it. But Parker was a heel. Parker was almost a perfect heel, and Miz was almost a perfect face. It was truly it, and I think Parker is where he ought to be.
Yeah.
I think this is it. He's finally figured it out. He finally got the proper reaction.
Cool. So backstage exclusive, we have Sami Zayn says that Cesaro must say no to his face. He says next week in the ring, you and me say no to my face that you don't want a rematch. That's it.
I think it's a good idea. Sort of. I mean, granted, like you said, this is kind of like doing something
no to
and
his
doing.
Face. He was in the ring 50 feet away, walked all the way up the ramp.
So he could be nose to nose.
Grabbed the mic and said no to his face.
Right.
Last week.
This segment was both doing something and nothing and all at the same time. I think it's sort of a good thing and a bad thing because it does sort of make Cesaro look like a coward. Mm-hmm. You could say that Cesaro feels as though he got out by the skin of his teeth on their last match and doesn't feel that lightning can in fact strike twice, and he might actually lose to Sami Zayn. So if he is serious about this, he will meet Sami Zayn in the ring to 100% settle this score.
I would say it's the opposite, where Cesaro just thinks that he's such a big shot. So why, if you beat this guy once, why is he asking for another shot? That's just annoying because you knew you were going to beat him the first time.
Sometimes cocky and bravado are two different things. Maybe it's not that Cesaro feels that he is the best. Maybe it's that he's covering. He's covering by an outward show of strength, saying, I don't have to face him. I already faced him, because he doesn't feel that he could face him again and walk away with a win. It's bravado.
I don't know.
I don't know. I guess we'll have to wait till next week and find out.
Yeah. LaForte's office yet again. We have a segment, and this time Mason Ryan walks back there
Big cat.
for the audition and says if LaForte can beat him in a match next week, they can work together. Essentially.
Let me just say that I am not a coward. Let me follow that by also saying there's no way in hell I would face Mason Ryan anywhere.
Yeah.
In the frozen food section, I would not face him. I wouldn't do any... If I were LaForte, I'd keep looking. You couldn't pay me to wrestle him. He's huge. And then LaForte's just looking for talent. He's a manager. He's not a wrestler.
That makes no sense to me. If we can go head to head against each other and one of you come out victorious, then we'll work together. There's going to be, even if LaForte by some weird...
If he ran over him with a monster truck, maybe he could win.
But in the off chance that he does win, Mason Ryan would say, no, I don't want to work with you anyways. Couldn't he do that?
Well, technically, it's a verbal contract.
I know.
Technically. But I don't know. But I feel that this is what Mason Ryan really needs. Mm-hmm. He needs to go heel. I don't think that he should be made to go heel. I think he should just kind of go. Like maybe next week, LaForte will come to the ring, Mason Ryan will come to the ring, and Ryan will just lay down and let LaForte win, and then we have actually a manager and a talent right there, so that we know that there isn't any sort of conflict. Because we should see a unified team between a manager and the actual talent.
Yeah.
You can't see any friction. That doesn't make a cohesive unit. Yeah. In order to make a real good cohesive unit, you have to have synergy. Synergy is the word. Yeah.
Last segment of the night, the contract signing for the championship match. Neville is announced by Renee Young, and he walks out. Then Bo Dallas is announced. His music hits. No Bo.
No Bo. No Bo.
No Bo. And then so Neville starts talking about how he's a coward, and Bo finally walks out in his trunks.
Yeah, and Neville came out in wrist tape. I'm like, I didn't think that pen was that heavy that you needed wrist tape in order to pick it up.
Neville also came out with wet hair, so much so that the back of his polo was soaked.
There are a lot of guys who have to have their hair wet no matter what they're doing.
Really?
I don't know why. I don't know what the reasoning is behind this. My hair is never wet unless I'm walking back from the ring after my match. That is the only time my hair is wet, because I have sweat in it. I don't know why his hair was wet for this. He could have just come out in a shirt.
I understand as a wrestler doing it before a match, but if you know that you're not going to be part of the segment, maybe he thought, maybe it was something that they changed last minute. If he did have the wrist tape on and his hair was wet, maybe he was supposed to get involved somehow.
It's possible.
But then it also tips off the fans, and when you have Bo a couple weeks ago wrestle in his suit and shirt.
Right, that was a surprise. Actually wrestling in his street clothes.
Yeah.
Yeah. But this was, I mean, you could see something was, I mean, you automatically assumed something was going to happen. You didn't know what, but, I mean, if a man's wearing wrist tape, it means business. Mm-hmm. So you automatically have to assume he's going to get physical.
Yeah, so Bo has a match with Danny Burch to intimidate Neville?
Basically, yeah.
I guess.
I mean, all of a sudden, when Bo comes out, you actually get a glimpse at the man behind the curtain, so to speak. The curtain being this false face that Bo puts on to the world. He finally lifts that because he is so upset with Neville that he finally, you actually get to visually witness the disdain that lies within this man.
Yeah. The crowd was not really behind this, chanting, "This is boring," throughout the match. And
That's fine.
Yeah.
It's not supposed to be some barn burner. It's not. This was meant to be a squash.
Yes, but it didn't really make sense to me.
To me, it sort of made sense. It shows that Bo is not afraid. That is the one thing that Bo is tired of hearing, that he is afraid. So he made abundantly clear tonight that he does not fear anyone. He will have a match right before a contract signing to show that he is not afraid of Neville. He's tired of this whole thing of people telling him that he's weak and that he's just tired of it.
Yeah.
I think he has grown to the point where he wants to prove all these people wrong. So he's willing to sort of let the falsehood aside and show people that he is really this underhanded guy, that all these people believe that he is.
I think that it just didn't come across correctly because it kind of seemed like when I first saw it, I had to watch it again because it seemed like this Danny Burch guy was just Bo's lackey and he was going to, kowtow to anything Bo did because that's what Bo wanted him to do. It wasn't that this guy was like, oh, well, yeah, I'm going to face Bo because I want, to prove myself.
No, I think it's one of those things. If Bo went backstage to somebody who puts matches together and said, I want somebody, anybody, get me somebody, and get me somebody while I'm waiting.
I just felt like this segment fell short. It didn't.
I feel it delivered. I feel what Bo did delivered on the whole thing.
Okay.
Just that you were able to see what Bo is really like. People have been telling him to his face that he is not the man that they see, and he proved them all right tonight.
Okay. Well, after the match, Bo finally signs the contract under his own terms, and they're gearing up for that championship match on the 27th.
Yep, it's a big one.
It's a huge one.
Yep, the live special.
Yeah.
Boy, howdy, we're building to that. How many weeks did they say it is away now? 3 weeks. 3?
I mean, it's 27
No, it's
days
3.
away.
It's got to be 3.
27 days away. 3 would be 21 days, so.
All right, fine.
Yeah, it's pretty much.
Math
4.
is also not my strong suit.
But any other thoughts from tonight's episode?
No. I thought it was good. You got a little bit of the ladies. You got a little bit of the talent overall. I don't know. I'm looking forward to next week.
Okay.
Oh.
Where can our fans find you until then?
They can find me on Twitter @TrueHobo. And this Saturday, for the very first time, I will be in Flagstaff, Arizona, wrestling for Championship Wrestling from Arizona's Battle Bowl at the Orpheum Theater in Flagstaff. Ramrock, you're holding my title. You just don't know it yet.
And you can find me on Twitter @KathleenKelley, and you can find all of us here on Twitter @AfterBuzzTV. Make sure to subscribe to us on iTunes, like us on YouTube, and subscribe there as well. Thanks for watching, and we will catch you next week.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.
Thank you for watching AfterBuzz TV on YouTube. For more of your favorite after shows and interviews, subscribe to our channel here, and be sure to share your opinion on the episode in the comment section below here. We'd love to see what you guys are buzzing about. Thanks again. Buzz you later.